welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're attempting to revisit some of our childhood and realizing it's not always easy to go back. We're in no way saying these games are completely unplayable, and all of them are still regarded as classics, but we'd be hard-pressed to willingly go back to replay some of these games and taint all our nostalgic memories of them.
Do you ever want to go back?
Well, I'm happy here.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Uncharted: Drake's Fortune.
You devil.
What is it? Come on, hold it up.
No.
Today, the Uncharted series is renowned for its cinematic storytelling, characters, and infinitely replicated climbing mechanics, for better or worse. However, while all the installments are necessary for the story and evolution of Nathan Drake and his companions as characters, Naughty Dog's first entry in the franchise is easily the hardest to replay today. With the devs clearly walking into Uncharted, get it, territory, the gameplay mechanics that would be refined in later entries such as the gunplay, cover system, and even some of the climbing sections are incredibly janky. Naughty Dog also seemed to have trouble letting go of their platforming roots, as some of the sections such as the jet ski clearly don't fit with this new style of gameplay. Thankfully, Naughty Dog managed to nail the formula and continue to improve on it with each new entry. And while not entirely unplayable, it is a far more frustrating experience than its sequels.
I'm good for it.
Final Fantasy VII. Okay, definitely gonna piss off an entire fan base with this one. FF7 is and will always be one of the best and most iconic games in the series. It's getting a large-scale remake trilogy for a reason, after all. But for those first-timers wanting to see what all the hype is about, they could end up being wildly disappointed. The story and characters of FF7 are incredible and still hold up today, but everything else surrounding these elements is incredibly outdated. The combat is very basic and straightforward, requiring very little strategy. The inconsistent character models are jarring, and the poor localization of the script is even more noticeable today. Subsequent entries would correct many of these issues, and FF7 is still responsible for bringing the series to 3D and mainstream attention and introducing millions of new players to RPGs, but the series has evolved and grown exponentially since this landmark and influential title. Tomb Raider.
What's a man gotta do to get that kind of attention from you?
It's hard to say exactly, but you seem to be doing fine.
Well, great.
Few games epitomize the concept of this list like the original Tomb Raider. Nearly everything from the character models to exploration, gunplay, the controls, the controls, have aged like spoiled milk. The use of tank controls to explore the environment just feels so unintuitive, and the slow, methodical pace at which Laura positions herself for a jump you'll end up missing anyways is enough for the average player to throw their controller. The fixed cameras of early Resident Evil games helped alleviate some of the frustration of the tank controls, but here they actively fight against the player just as much as the game's unwieldy camera. With numerous remasters, remakes, and reboots, these issues are even more noticeable now. We honestly don't know how we put up with all these issues back in the day, but we must have all been too distracted by Laura's polygons to notice.
Back again.
And you? For a grand reopening, I assume.
Donkey Kong 64.
Put your hands together if you wanna clap. As we take you through this monkey rap.
Super Mario 64 might have revolutionized 3D platformers on the Nintendo 64 and still holds up surprisingly well today, but Donkey Kong 64, on the other hand, this gorilla took a big swing and missed the landing. Besides the camera somehow being worse than Mario's first 3D outing, this was the game that overloaded the player with so many collectibles we can't imagine anyone would even be able to name them all today. Rare would iterate on many of the ideas in Donkey Kong 64 to much greater success in later titles, but here, the controls, bland and repetitive levels, and the aforementioned finicky camera, and overabundance of collectibles make the game more of a chore than a joy to replay. They're still fun to be had, but revisiting Donkey Kong 64 in the modern day proves why Nintendo has kept the big ape on a 2D plane in his more recent outings. Shenmue series.
Guizan, I want to fight you.
What? What are you talking about?
Shenmue remains one of the most ambitious, for the time, and revolutionary video games for its approach to realistic world design and interactivity. Today, however, Shenmue and its sequel are more well known for their awkward dialogue and quick-time events than for their timelessness. Absolutely everything about this series has aged poorly. Ryu's awkward and shockingly slow movements, the once impressive character faces now the stuff of nightmares, the poorly implemented camera and incredibly clunky combat system make Shenmue's search for sailors the least of his problems. Somehow, even 2 decades later, when given the chance to continue Ryu's story, series creator Yu Suzuki didn't feel the need to update any of these mechanics and made these glaring issues with the originals even more noticeable by comparison. Gaming owes a lot to the innovations that the Shenmue series brought to the industry, and while we appreciate all Ryu has done, we'll take it from here.
How's work, bro? Say, is you...
Yeah.
What? Bro, you gotta be more pull them bootstraps and all!
Kingdom Hearts.
Huh?
What? Are you kidding?
Ready? Go!
Kingdom Hearts is a beloved series for a reason. Despite its convoluted narrative told out of sequential order, players fell in love with the characters and the ability to visit some of their favorite Disney worlds from their childhood. But the series didn't truly hit its stride until the second game, and replaying the original game can be wildly inconsistent. The script and dialogue can be incredibly cringy at times, and the vibrant Disney worlds are strangely designed and have an abundance of invisible walls guiding players down a very linear path. Combat, as well as Donald and Goofy's AI, are also hit or miss. Sometimes the game really hits a sweet spot, but then the camera decides to go rogue and leave you behind, all while Donald refuses to heal you. Why, Donald? Why? Like other games on our list, it isn't completely unplayable, but you'll definitely have a better time with its sequels. Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic. Now hold on, before everyone turns to the dark side, hear us out.
You misunderstand. This is but a taste of the dark side to whet your appetite.
KOTOR remains one of the greatest stories BioWare has ever told, and more than surpasses anything we're getting from Star Wars these days. Playing the game, however, can oftentimes be incredibly boring between story beats. Combat feels unbelievably dated, with very little player interaction as your characters slowly whittle down enemies' health bars one pathetic lightsaber swing at a time. The environments are also much blander than we remember, with large sections of empty hallways connecting loading screens before static characters carry on with their conversations. Few games before or even since have offered fans the chance to choose between the light and the dark side, but unlike some older Star Wars titles, this one truly feels like it came from a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Good to see you up instead of thrashing about in your sleep. You must have been having one hell of a nightmare. Was wondering if you were ever gonna wake up.
Goldeneye 007. While we can't deny Goldeneye's impact on the gaming industry, particularly first-person shooters and multiplayer, this is one that is better remembered through nostalgia than a true replay. Besides the obvious graphical limitations, some of the biggest issues come from the dated level design, molasses frame rate, and the well below average AI of both the enemies and Bond's companions, especially Natalia. That is a level of frustration that is near impossible to describe. But by far the biggest hurdle has to be the controls. Designed specifically for the N64 controller, which in itself is still one of the weirdest designs to ever hit the mainstream market, controlling Bond and lining up shots is shockingly difficult now that we've been spoiled by modern day conveniences. A true classic that is better enjoyed through rose-colored glasses. Grand Theft Auto 3.
Sorry, babe. I'm an ambitious girl. You're just small time.
GTA 3 is without a doubt one of the most influential video games of all time, paving the way for the sandbox genre and countless copycats. The one that started the revolution, however, is also the weakest of the trilogy. GTA 3's version of Liberty City remains iconic, but replaying the game today, you realize just how small the environment truly is, and the level design is rather basic. The controls, however, specifically vehicle handling and the shooting mechanics, are rough if we're going to be generous. Not to mention, if you even look at your car sideways, it could blow up and insta-kill you. Rockstar themselves would vastly improve on their own formula the following year with Vice City, not only in terms of controls and mission variety, but especially in story. We doubt anyone could really tell us the entire plot of GTA 3 from memory, let alone the main character's name. It's Claude, by the way.
You have been a busy boy, but you haven't learned. I'm not to be trusted. Kill the idiot!
Pokémon Red and Blue versions. Pokémon Red and Blue are single-handedly responsible for an entire generation of adults who more easily recognize a series of pocket monsters than real-life animals. These games are regarded as classics, and rightfully so. That being said, replaying these original incarnations is more of a struggle and frustration than trying to keep up with 1,000 new species of Pokémon. The games are surprisingly basic in comparison to their modern day or even their subsequent sequels. Incredibly repetitive gameplay, the limited inventory, the lack of variety in activities, the basic strategy to encounters, the freaking unending waves of Zubats, the series has come a long way from its simplistic origins. While we ourselves may still long for the days when the gameplay was simpler and the Pokemon types made more sense, we'd be lying if we didn't admit these are hard for us to go back and replay. What video game did you love but find it hard to replay these days? Share your picks in the comments. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips for MojoPlays, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.